Hello, people of the internet, and welcome back to Rashman Productions, where I talk about everything comics, movies, and superheroes. So, I just watched Peacemaker season 2 episode finale, and it was episode 8. It came out a couple of hours ago, so I just watched it. And honestly, it wasn't like the finale that I was expecting. I had some theories about Brainiac coming in and it tying into Man of Tomorrow, which it still does in certain ways. So, let's discuss what happened here. And honestly, I loved this episode. I liked it, but I still personally preferred episode 6 and 7 over episode 8. However, this was the longest episode and had the most kind of plot, had the most kind of dramatics, had the most kind of let's say ending of a story in here. But still, episode 6 and 7 were my personal favorites from season 2. I mean, sure. I guess people were expecting something more, something kind of more extravagant and more expansive from this episode, from the final episode of season 2, but it didn't quite land there. It was still something that closed on its own. It wasn't. I mean, sure, it did set up something that we'll talk about in just a minute with the ending, but it wasn't as, let's say, obvious, or it wasn't as, let's say, hype creating of an ending. So yeah, in this we actually see that Peacemaker, after all the events that have happened, his travels from the Nazi Earth, Earth X, and him coming back. He was put in prison, but he's then bailed out by his friends, Adrian Chase and Adebayo. They put the bail, and he's released. And then he's just living on his own. There are some emotional aspects to this episode as well. There are some emotional moments with Chris and this entire 11th Street kids. All of them share a moment because Chris is feeling low and he's like, I'm cursed. I'm wherever I go, death follows and stuff like that. So, of course, it was, of course, focused on building out the character of Peacemaker more, building out the character of Chris Smith more, and with that also the supporting characters as well, their kind of strength and their kind of arcs as well were also involved in this episode, and everybody as a character grew too. And we also get to see establishment of the checkmate organization, which in the comics was an organization that was created by Amanda Waller, who is Adebayo's mother. But in this DC universe, Adebayo creates Checkmate, which is like a kind of a private organization which works for security and spying and stuff like that. Sometimes on their own and sometimes with the US government in coercion or like with them. So that was set up here. And the members are, of course, the 11th Street kids, including Judo Master, who literally just has a suit every single time. Even when they were going into these different universes through the doors, under that hazmat suit, he had his own that green suit on. So I mean, that is commitment, man, to his identity as Judo Master. So of course he is there. Then Flurry is also in the team, which again, I mean, probably my favorite character from this series, my personal favorite, of course, second to Adrian Chase. Flurry is amazing. So yeah, he's there. Then Bordeaux also sides with them, the Elan Street Kids, and you have the Hardcore, and you have, of course, Peacemaker himself. You have Economist Adebayo, whose organization this is, and they collectively make up Checkmate. And we see certain different universes in here. We see a universe with imps, which are like literally murderous imps, and they're literally just killing those people. Like they're literally killing the people who are going in. Like these small little imps, these size, like they're literally this size of imps, and they're literally have eaten a face. Like, yeah, so they are like murderous imps living in a candy land somewhere. And then we see like a dimension with that black hole thing we saw in Superman movie. So that was there. Then there was like a zombie universe. There was like a zombie planet. Then there was like like a whole fire planet. Like there were like spiders, skulls that we saw in the trailer. So that was the thing. But we get to know that it is actually that the Argus and Rick Flag Senior working with Lex Luthor are kind of looking for something. They're looking for something very specific. So we get to know this when they find an Earth-like planet, an Earth-like dimension, where the kind of the what do you say, the atmosphere, the humidity, and the temperature are kind of like same. It is kind of similar to Earth, So they find it and they are going to put prisoners in there, especially meta-human prisoners in there. So this will connect to Man of Tomorrow, where we will get to know that they have put many more meta-human prisoners in this sort of dimension, in this sort of planet. And Peacemaker is actually there right now. So for the payback of killing his son, Rick Flag Jr., like Peacemaker killed Rick Flag Jr. So for payback, Rick Flag Sr. puts him in this kind of outcast dimension, a present dimension where they are just put there, all the metahumans with no way to return back. And of course, it was mentioned that many of these earthly prisons, such as Arkham and Bell Reeve, they cannot contain these metahuman, let's say, forces, these metahumans themselves, because they are too powerful to hold by these normal jail cells. So we have to put them in an entirely different kind of dimension or a planet which is not this. And actually, what is interesting is that the whole Lex team, the Lex Luthor team from Superman, comes back here working with Rick Flag Sr. and also Rick Flag Sr. actually considering Lex Luthor's advice, Lex Luthor's kind of research and his kind of agenda too. So I don't know what they have going on here. Maybe it's something that Lex Luthor promised him. Maybe it's something that they have going on. A deal was made, something like that. And so they're kind of working together on this project to build this prison, or like have a prison planet on where they can put all these metahumans, which is literally funded by Lex's imagination and his team and his products as well. So let's see what happens there. And an interesting thing that I would like to point out, that when Peacemaker goes into that prison sort of planet, we hear these sort of roars and these beastly, roars, which reminds me that it could be like a dinosaur island or the dinosaur planet that is in the DC comics, where it is like it is used by the New Gods, specifically Darkseid, where he goes, like he sends some apocalyptic warriors there, or his parademon or something like that, to fight these monsters on this dinosaur planet. And it is basically like they do something like it's related to some training part of the new gods. And yeah, so that is what that planet could be, or that could just be a, let's say, a small island in there on some other earth as well. It might not be our earth, it might be some other earth, and it's just a island there, who knows. Let's see how do they connect it, how do they change it, and how do they keep it. But most likely it's going to be a planet full of these dinosaurs and horrendous creatures out there just running mutated in different forms. And yeah, so we'll have maybe our interaction with the new gods in there. We'll maybe see what happens there. And as more prisoners go in there, as more kind of these bad villains, these bad guys go in there, and they form coalitions and teams to kind of fight these monsters, let's see what happens. Maybe we'll, and Peacemaker is in there, so we'll see what will happen there in the future projects. And this might be related to Man of Tomorrow, because as we know, it is related to Brainiac in some way. So Brainiac wants to like take this earth, so they are looking forward to, let's say, put every human on that dinosaur island. But they discover that, oh no, even that planet has kind of these atrocities, so it is better to save this earth. And that might tie into Man of Tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, and also there, James Gunn had told that there would be some cameos, and there would be some big cameos from the DCU characters. So I of course thought there would be some like returning heroes, maybe. I mean, of course, in episode 1 we saw the Justice Gang, but everyone was hoping for, let's say, some more expansion on the DC universe in that sense, to like put in some important characters in here. But of course, it was just the Lex Luthor's team in here who showed up and was working with Rick Flag Sr. And also, like, there were some two bands. One was the Foxy Nelson, which whose song plays at the intro. It was that, and there was some other band in here too. And so I think those were the two big cameos James Gunn was referring to, I guess, because other than that, there was not much. And yeah, over and all, I think people expected more from this finale. It wasn't like as satisfying as the end of this season, even though as a standalone episode, it was really good, a good episode. perfectly matched with the runtime. You get those high moments, you get those low moments, and it's amazing. So yeah, that's it. I'll see you in the next. Sub to the channel. That's it.